Hey friends, Pastor Randy, welcome to Making It Simple. Great to be back with you. We're continuing our study, our lesson, in the storm. We've been talking about what it's like to see the storm and the differential of being in the storm. Of course, the storm represents life. We left, in our last part, we left the disciples there in the boat, in the storm, and it's really not going well. We look out and we see Jesus walking on the water toward them. And as I shared with you in the last lesson, this was a representation of Jesus walking toward them on the problem that they were having. In other words, the wind and the waves were what was causing their dilemma. And Jesus is walking toward them on that very issue as if to say, I've got this. It's going to be okay. But that requires that you place a faith in me. So we read, if we continue, this is taken from Matthew chapter 14, the walking on the water part, verses 22 through about 33. And so we read that it was early in the morning. In other words, it was dark. So they're in panic. Oftentimes in the dark, we can't see what's around us, and every noise is amplified, and every fear is a little bit closer to the edge. I worked a night shift for many years when I was in law enforcement, and it was an entirely different spectacle than working during the day. Two completely different things. Not just the exhaustion level of working through the night, but the stress level of I can't see what's around the corner. It's a different mindset. And so here we find in the dark, this is where they are. Again, the wind is blowing hard. The waves are crashing against the boat. And it tells us that they look out and they see Jesus walking toward them on the water. And we read they were terrified. Now, the reason that that's important, all right, we've got two different things. When they were with Jesus, literally, figuratively, whatever, on the shore, when they were walking with him, they felt peace. They recognized him. They clearly knew who he was. But without him, in other words, not having the physical presence at that time, or even the emotional presence in their heart, without him in the storm, they did not recognize him. They did not have that same peace in that very moment. Now think about how that relates to life. This same peace that they had when they were with him, it was absolutely still available. This same Jesus was indeed the same Jesus. He was still available, but separated from him in their heart and in their mind, capturing fear as their focal point, it changed their ability to see, it changed their ability to perceive that the same peace, the same calm, the same everything was still available, but at that moment it didn't seem possible. That sounds like life, right? When we leave our lifeline, again, we go back to drowning. If I let go of that life preserver, I can still see it. It's still floating right there. But because I don't have my hand on it, fear takes over. And now the reality of the circumstance, the reality of the potential of death or whatever injury becomes a lot more my focus than the fact that the lifeline is still right there. It's still the life-saving ability. In the storm changes everything. And that's why this lesson, I hope that it will minister to you, because it is there that our faith not only gets tested, our faith grows if we lean into it. We read here they were terrified because they saw what they thought. Now, okay, we're in the storm. The wind is blowing and the waves are crashing and the water's coming on the boat. And I mean, it's a mess, right? It feels like everything's falling apart. What else could go wrong? That's not to be negative. That is reality, because that's where our mind goes in those very moments. And so we read that they were terrified because they thought, mind you, they're looking at Jesus walking toward them on the water. Fear has taken over. All rationality is gone. They look out and they think they see a ghost. Some type of unnatural being is walking on the water toward me. In other words, oh man, how could this get worse? And then now it just did. In the storm, fear is sensitive. Fear is heightened. All levels of perception become questionable, because then we're not thinking with the part of our mind that allows rationality, because everything is at a heightened sense. Everything is at a turmoil, because and when things are in turmoil, we don't seek peace. We don't seek rationale. We don't. We look for desperation, and we're grabbing out of panic, and we're not making good thoughts. In other words, we're not looking at the source of our true help. Even though it might be right in front of us, we don't picture that. In the storm is a very, very different place. We read that, and then we hear that explanation. And again, please understand, I'm not saying that because I think I'm right. But this is it. This is the reality of this story. This is what it means. And we say, well, wait a minute, Pastor, I've never really thought about this particular story and Jesus walking on water having any more meaning than just a really cool Bible story, really awesome supernatural event. But I can relate to what you are saying. I can relate to this story now because that's real. That's exactly what happens to us when we are in the storm. And so here we see Jesus met them there. He comes walking to them on the water. He's meeting them in their storm, in their dilemma. He's meeting them there. He's walking toward them. He's not going another way. He's not abandoning them. And he said to them, have courage. Have courage. In other words, hey guys, it's okay. There's no need to be afraid. It's me. It's me. I'm here now. I'm with you. Do not be afraid. That message is to everyone listening today that is in the storm. I want you to receive that, because I want you to hear what that voice is saying. Do you ever remember, and I hope that you had this experience at some point in your life, especially when you were little, something scared you, maybe a bad dream, a scary noise, whatever. And someone that loved you, maybe your mom or dad, a grandma, grandpa, somebody, big brother, big sister, somebody, they came along and they put their arms around you and they said, it's going to be okay. That is what Jesus is saying in this story. That is the heart of the Father that is being displayed through the person of Christ to these very ones who were following him, loved him, believed who he was, all these different things, but they're in the storm and all of that is out the window. Wait a minute, Pastor, that's me. That's exactly the point of the story. It's there to help us understand God loves you. He has not abandoned you in your storm. And you may be in one right now and hearing this message today. And I want you to go back and read this, and I want you to read it through the context of what we're talking about. Wait a minute. That's me. I'm in that boat. It's being turned upside down. The water's coming in and the waves are crashing, and I don't think I'm going to make it. Look out and see Jesus walking towards you on the water. Don't be afraid. It's not a ghost. It's not an apparition. It's not the boogeyman. And it's not God coming to get you. He's coming to say, it's okay. I'm here now. We are going to be okay. We'll come back with more of this lesson tomorrow. God bless you. Have a great day.